to Business Review, a daily program that delves into the latest and most significant economic stories. From stock markets to currency news, Business Review covers the most up-to-date developments in the global financial world.
Airlines across the European countries have resumed their flights like Air France and Air Italia, but for other airlines they have promised to resume their work this June after 2 months of lockdown. The French media published several reports which indicate an unusual high number of bookings that took place the week of 11th May. These bookings reach a high growth of 30%, including sea cruises across Europe and long-haul flights between European countries. However, France advises their citizens to remain inside the country until the end of the year. COVID-19 outbreak has changed the airline industry forever, where now it will be much cheaper to book a ticket to anywhere in the world.
We need to work together to keep travel safe as Europe starts to cross borders again. And that is why the European Commission has adopted this package of guidance and recommendations today to coordinate a safe return to travel and tourism this summer.
باعتقادي معظم الدراسات عم تشتغل على simulation صحيحة.
Now we all know how the virus is spreading and transferring. And when we open the borders and leave confinement, we will be subject to a yo-yo effect of the virus, where cases will fluctuate throughout the year, and with absence of a vaccine, the economy will follow this effect strongly.
As the most popular country in the world for tourists, France has been hit harder than most by a drop in holiday makers. However, Prime Minister Edouard Philippe announced an 18 billion rescue plan package for the country's tourism sector to combat the collapse in visitor numbers, while Italy's Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte has said that Italians will be going on holiday this summer starting June the 3rd. As Italy's population and economy have been hit badly by the virus, Air Italia will be established as a new company with public funds no less than 3 billion, and employment will be protected, especially since that in recent weeks over 30,000 employees have been let go due to the crisis, whether in transport companies such as Uber or hotels around Europe and Airbnb.
This summer will not be a summer like all the others, and we are going to have to adapt to a new reality. From a health perspective, several important criteria have been put together with ECDC to allow the gradual return to tourism activities in the coming weeks and months.
The European Commission has published a list of travel restrictions and guidelines to help European countries lift the travel restrictions and allow tourism business to reopen after months of lockdown while respecting necessary health precautions.
This is Farah Al Hashim reporting for the Business Review, KTV2, Paris.
Large parts of Japan's marked the first day out of a state of emergency on Friday, May 15th, while major population centers, including the capital Tokyo, remained under restrictions. Customers returned to a shopping mall in Okayama in western Japan, which resumed operations following a government decision to lift restrictions on 39 prefectures, including Okayama. People wandered freely in the mall with hand sanitizers and social distancing measures still in place. During the state of emergency, only the grocery floor was open. During a regular news conference on Friday, Japan's top government spokesperson Yoshihide Suga once again urged citizens to avoid moving between prefectures, even if they were no longer under a state of emergency. Nationwide, Japan has reported 16,203 cases of the coronavirus and 713 deaths as of Friday, May 15th.
The Mexican government released a plan on Wednesday, May the 13th, explaining that Mexico could begin opening some automotive factories from May the 18th that loosen coronavirus restrictions and paves the way for U.S. car giants to ramp up output dependent on parts made south of the border. Under a roadmap presented at a news conference, the mining and construction industries, as well as manufacturers of transport equipment, will from Monday be considering essential activities in a May the 18th to 31st starting phase. The economy minister said that the more general economic and social activities will be restarted gradually under a traffic light system to determine which areas of the country are at lower risks. Mexico sends 80% of its exports to the United States and became its biggest trading partner last year, with bilateral commerce worth over $600 billion. Meanwhile, in April, Mexican auto output fell by 99%. According to officials, the reopening of the North American automotive industry is likely to be gradual.
Britain extended its job retention scheme, the costly centerpiece of its attempts to mitigate the coronavirus hit to the economy, by 4 more months on Tuesday, May 12th, but told employers they would have to help meet the cost before long. Finance Minister Rishi Sunak told Parliament there would be no changes to the scheme, which currently pays 80% of the wages of 7.5 million workers who are temporarily laid off until the end of July. From August, the scheme would continue with greater flexibility to support the transition back to work, allowing employers who are currently using the scheme to bring furloughed part-timers back. The minister noted the government would ask employers to start sharing the cost of paying people's salaries, adding that scheme was expensive and could not continue indefinitely. The coronavirus job retention scheme is expected to reduce a rise in unemployment in Britain.
The Political Bureau of China's Central Committee on China on Friday held a meeting to discuss the draft government work report, which is scheduled to be submitted by the State Council to the third annual session of the 13th National People's Congress for deliberation and approval, with the Chinese President and the General Secretary of the Political Bureau of China's Central Committee, or the CPC, presiding over it. The meeting said the outbreak of COVID-19, the committee has been regarding epidemic prevention and control as a top priority. The meeting stressed on expanding domestic consumption, safeguarding economic development and social stability, ensuring the full completion of poverty alleviation, as well as building a moderately prosperous society. The meeting added China will advance opening up to a higher level and stabilize foreign trade and investment and strive to achieve this year's economic and social development goals. The draft report also gave focus of coordinated efforts to fight the outbreak in central China's Hubei province, particularly its capital city of Wuhan, which was the epicenter of the coronavirus in the first place.
England began easing its coronavirus lockdown on Wednesday, May 13th, with some people who cannot do their jobs at home urged to return to work, as economic data showed the disastrous impact of the pandemic. Britain has been in extensive lockdown since March 23rd due to COVID-19 and is now among the worst-hit countries in Europe. As of Wednesday morning, people in manufacturing and certain other sectors were being asked to return to work if they could. GDP data released on Wednesday showed the economy shrank by a record of 5.8% in March compared with February, and the April data is likely to be even worse as the country was under lockdown for the entire month. The government is loosening restrictions very gradually for fear of triggering a second peak of infections. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has described the process as a supremely difficult balancing act. Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland are sticking with a stay-at-home message for now, leaving England, the most populous UK nation, to take the lead in sending some people back to work. Workers were being advised to avoid public transport if at all possible, and schools remained closed.
This has been Business Review, your daily source for the most critical financial stories. Tune in next time for the latest financial news impacting the world economy.